Hey, this is Dominic, and this is your home for the cutting-edge conversations on optimizing your personal performance, lighting up your sex life, and living a purpose-driven life of your own design.
These are the topics that Dominic and I have both struggled with in our own lives and still don't always get right. This is Brian. Welcome to the Great Man Podcast.
What's up, guys? Dominic rolling solo here today, and I've already had an interesting start to the morning. Some of you know that every day my morning routine consists of an intensive series of breathwork practices to shake off the cobwebs from the night and to get my energy going. Now, there's this one breathwork practice that I love from a YouTube channel called Breathwork Beats. It's a 3-minute breathwork exercise that I use for all the masterminds when we get into session. And for whatever reason, this exercise gets me so lightheaded that there are times where I literally have to hang on to my seat or the table because I'm afraid I'm going to pass out. I'm wobbling and I'm going to pass out and fall over. It's never gotten that far before. This morning, it went all the way. I was doing some intense breath hold where I blacked out, and the next thing that I know, I have face planted on the floor, like forehead and cheek to the floor. I'm on my knees. I have a huge nodule on the top of my forehead from smashing my face into the floor and rug burn on the right side of my face from hitting the floor. And for good measure, I even chipped my front tooth. So this is your public safety announcement, kids, that you need to wear your breathwork helmet when you're at home doing some of these more intense breathwork exercises. I learned today that breathwork can be a full contact sport. Okay. Today, we are beginning a 4-week journey around men's health, specifically talking about products and services that you may not know about, but need to in order to take care of your long-term well-being. And that's not just your physical well-being, it's your sexual well-being, it's your emotional well-being, better sleep. And today, specifically, I'm going to be talking about 7 supplements that I've used for sleep, for focus, and for energy over a long period of time that I love, that I've introduced a lot of the men in the masterminds to, that they're using and getting good results around. And so I'm going to be sharing with you these 7 products, these 7 supplements that I use. And in the coming weeks, we're actually going to be bringing on a couple of the founders of some of these supplements that I've become such a champion of that I wanted to even dig deeper and get the bigger story around why some of these things work so well. We also have a return guest that many of you guys love coming on next week, Dr. Amy B. Killen, and she's coming back to talk about our sexual health and how to keep our plumbing functioning and our libido going for as long as we live. So you're not going to want to miss that one. Okay, I've broken the categories into sleep, into focus, and energy, and the first product around sleep, one of my favorite discoveries over the last 6 months, Kavaplex. Kavaplex is something that I use to enhance my deep sleep. Now, I'm a total nerd when it comes to measuring the quality of my sleep. I use the Oura Ring. There's 2 components to your sleep, really. The quantity of your sleep, right? We all know we're supposed to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And then there's the quality of your sleep. And the quality of your sleep is determined by 2 different factors. It's your deep sleep, which is the most restorative state of your sleep where your muscles start to repair themselves, you flush out toxins, right? This is especially important for anyone who's an athlete. So deep sleep is something that you want to see if you can optimize for yourself. The other component is REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. That is where you're in your dream state. That's around memory consolidation and creativity. The first supplement, which is Kavaplex, that I've been using for the last 6 months, I'd already had my deep sleep pretty dialed in. But since using this, it's a liquid thing, the little tincture that I place under the tongue before I go to bed, maybe a half an hour. And I've increased my average of deep sleep by 25 minutes per night. And that's put me over the 2 hours of deep sleep per night on average. So I was already getting some good deep sleep. Kavaplex was the thing that brought me over the 2-hour mark. Kavaplex is made from the plant medicine kava. I'm bringing on the founder, Cameron George, who invented Kavaplex, in a couple of weeks. So you get to go deeper around kava. historically speaking, there's been a lot of crappy kava on the market. And so if you do your research on kava, which I implore you to do, there's a lot of crap products that are out there, and they've had some deleterious side effects for people. This particular brand, Kavaplex, has met and exceeded the standards by the World Health Organization that has classified this brand of kava as a food that's safe for daily use. So this is a product that has been deemed safe for daily use by the World Health Organization standards. And so do your own research, but for me, that is something that gave me peace of mind to be able to use it and recommend it. And by the way, that's about $70 for a 30-day supply. Everything is going to be linked in the show notes for easy access of purchasing, okay? Some of these things I have discount codes for, some of these I don't. I don't have one for Kavaplex, so it's $70 for a 30-day supply. Number 2 is Wild Bloom brand Blue Lotus, and this is for REM sleep. So I just talked about how Kavaplex is for enhancing your deep sleep. I've started using the Wild Bloom Blue Lotus for REM sleep, I think about a month and a half ago, and that has increased my REM sleep by over half an hour on average per night. And I'm telling you, I'm dreaming like crazy, and I'm starting to remember more of my dreams. I used to dream and I couldn't remember anything. I'm still not like able to articulate everything that I've gone through or everything that I've dreamt, but I'm definitely hanging on to more, and I'm definitely dreaming more. And I even have the obvious Oura Ring stats to prove that. I pulled a little caption from the website from Wild Bloom's Blue Lotus, and it says, Blue Lotus is a popular herb known for its euphoric and spiritual properties. It has a rich history in ancient Egyptian culture where they used it in ceremony as they believed it united the lower and upper worlds. It's considered the flower of intuition due to its effect on the pineal gland. The pineal gland is what secretes DMT, right? So this is, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that. DMT is the active molecule in ayahuasca, so visions, dream state. Many cultures around the world believe it enhances their connection to the spirit realm and use it to assist deep meditative practices. Its uplifting and euphoric effect promotes a state of joy and relaxation. Some people actually use Blue Lotus during the day, for meditative states. I only use it for sleep. I love the quality, and it also helps me to get the REM that I'm looking for. It's $23 for a 30-day supply. So I found that to be one of the more reasonable things on this list, and that's linked in the show notes. The third and final product that I'm recommending in the sleep category is the Somnifix mouth strips. Now, these aren't a supplement, obviously, but the Somnifix mouth strips are mouth tape, literally taping your mouth shut so that you can stop mouth breathing when you sleep, stop snoring when you sleep, and instead nasal breathe. Now, if you don't understand why this is important, one of the books that is, I think was one of the most impactful books I read in 2020 was Breath by James Nestor. And he makes this impeccable case for breathing through your nose instead of through your mouth, right? And many of us don't even realize that we're mouth breathing. Our nose has a filtration system. It heats the air. It cleans out the toxins. Our mouth doesn't have any of that stuff. And when we are sleeping for 6, 7, 8 hours a night, breathing in through our mouth, we're getting that unfiltered air. It has all sorts of different bad side effects for your health, your well-being, for your immune system. And I didn't realize, but for most of my life, I was a mouth breather during sleep. If you drool during sleep, that you're mouth breathing. If you're snoring, a lot of times you're mouth breathing. If you wake up in the morning with a really dry mouth and bad breath, chances are you're a mouth breather, right? If your mouth is closed, you've been breathing through your nose, your mouth is actually going to be quite moist in the morning. So these Somnifix mouth strips, you actually tape your mouth shut, and there's a little hole to breathe through if your nose is stuffy. But I've been using these mouth strips for, I think, 18 months now. And I noticed when I started using them, I also had a bump in the quality of my deep and my REM sleeps. And I've also started noticing that even during the day, I'm focusing more on nasal breathing. So the Somnifix mouth strips, I think you get a 4-week supply for $25, and I've linked the Amazon thing in the show notes. All right, so this next category of focus, I could put a couple of supplements in this category, but I've only got one for right now because the other ones I put in the energy category. So for the focus supplement, I put the everyday dose mushroom latte. Now, there's a lot of people who are out there looking for coffee alternatives. I think the most popular coffee alternative, the way that it's branded these days, is the mud water. If you guys have heard of mud water. And I went down that route first. Mud water, for me, couldn't do it. Doesn't taste at all like coffee. It's an alternative to coffee because, it kind of takes the place of your ritual. And I guess it has a creamy texture, but its base is chai. So it's got that chai flavor, and I'm not down with that. And so I was looking for an alternative to coffee because I've really been stripping back my caffeine use. And the everyday dose mushroom latte doesn't taste like mushrooms. I've also had mushroom coffee alternatives like Four Sigmatic, couldn't do it either. This does not taste at all like mushrooms. It tastes like coffee because it has a little bit of a coffee blend in it. The amount of caffeine is a fraction of what you would get in a normal cup of coffee. So, for example, if you were getting a 12-ounce cup of Pike Place from Starbucks, based on what you see on the internet, it's anywhere between 180 milligrams to 220 milligrams of caffeine in that 12-ounce cup. That's the smallest cup that they offer of Pike Place roast. This everyday dose, its serving has 39 milligrams. Right? So you can maybe round that up to 40 milligrams. So you're looking at about a sixth or a fifth amount of the caffeine that you would get in a Starbucks 12-ounce cup of coffee. And for me, when I want a little bit of that energy to focus, to get my mind going, the 39 milligrams seems to do the trick. And what's in this mushroom latte is 1,500 milligrams of lion's mane and chaga mushrooms, right, which are known for focus. It's got 4 grams of grass-fed collagen for amino acids, 150 milligrams of L-theanine to reduce anxiety, and it's got that fair trade. I guess it's got a hint of the organic fair trade coffee extract, right, which has got the 39 milligrams of caffeine in it. So whenever anyone is looking for a coffee alternative that tastes kind of like coffee, I would say the closest thing I've found, everyday dose mushroom latte is the way to go. And I have been making my bulletproof coffee out of it. So the way that I do it is I have decaf coffee, and then I put, my protein, my ghee, and the brain octane oil, and then I take a dose of this everyday dose mushroom latte. It's $50 for a one-time purchase of 30 servings. $50 for one-time purchase of 30 servings, and that link is in the show notes. So let's move into this last category around energy. One of the first products I'm going to recommend that I've loved is LMNT hydration packets. LMNT hydration packets. These are delicious. Tim Ferriss has recommended them multiple times. I used to struggle during sleep with leg cramps. I would wake up multiple times a night, like with my legs cramping, and I couldn't tell you why. I thought I was sufficiently hydrated throughout the day, but if you're just drinking water without electrolytes, then you could possibly be not getting the amount of hydration that you need. Your water just passing through you. It's not going to the cells. And so LMNT has a blend of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And they have the most delicious flavors. Like, these are the best tasting electrolyte drinks that I've been able to find. I think my favorite flavors are, there's a watermelon, there's a raspberry, and then there's a lime citrus that tastes like a better version of the powder Gatorade that you used to get when you were a kid. So it tastes not nearly as sugary. It's just like, it's a beautiful texture. And I recommend those quite a bit. I love them. These aren't cheap. 12 pack is $20. 30 pack is $45. I buy the 120 packs, which are $135. So that brings it down to a little over $1 a pack. And the link for that is in the show notes. The sixth thing I'm going to recommend for energy is the Prolon 5-day fast mimicking diet. Okay, so Prolon is a 5-day fast mimicking diet. Now, many of you have been curious about what is it like to do a fast. You may have heard of some of the benefits of fasting, which are kind of resetting your system. Autophagy, which is the process of cleaning out the dead cells, the weak cells, the sick cells in your body by basically starving them. And then the ones that are left are the strong cells, right? That become even stronger. Many of you know that when you are in a fasted state, you will switch over into a place of ketosis. So ketosis is the time where your body is burning fat for energy instead of glucose for energy. And glucose comes from carbohydrates. And most of the time you are running off of glucose to fuel your system. It's a much more available, ready, metabolized source. When you're running off glucose, oftentimes you can feel that kind of boom bust energy cycle, right? That crash. And then you need to go get more sugar, get more carbs to fuel your system. When you're in the state of ketosis, it's a much slower burn, much more consistent over a period of time. And so people love that feeling of energy and also the strengthening through autophagy, strengthening of your cells, and also burning fat, if that's something that, is important to you. And so fasting has lots of benefits and has historical roots and, goes back to our ancestors who weren't able to eat on command like we are now when they were in the hunting and gathering stages. So there's lots of benefits around fasting, but we can't ignore the fact that fasting as an experience sucks, right? You're starving. And so what the Prolon company has done, the founder, I think his name is Victor Longo, who is, I may get this wrong, but I believe he's the founder and the teacher of the School of Longevity, either at UCLA or at Berkeley. One of those universities is prestigious. I found out about him on that Netflix series Goop that's run by Gwyneth Paltrow. And he was on talking about the Prolon fast. And what they have done is they specifically engineered 5 days of calories, like food, that allow you to have just enough calories not to starve, but also not too many calories to break a fast. So you do get to eat. It's just like little powdered soups, little crackers, some olives, protein bars over a 5-day period that take away the total feelings of starvation. You will be hungry, but also allow you to achieve that state of ketosis and fast. What I've found and what a lot of people have found is days 1, 2, and 3 are a bit challenging. When you hit days 4 and 5, you end up in like that full state of ketosis, which is like this super clear energy. You're sharp, you're focused, you're not hungry anymore. And it's a pretty cool experience to go through. I know a number of the guys in the masterminds who have tried this now are on it regularly. They do it twice a year. I'll do one of these fasts before I do ayahuasca, right? To clean out my system. So it's a clean vessel before I drink the medicine. And that is right now, the prices always are changing, but it's $187 for that 5-day fast. So it's all your food for the 5 days, $187. And right now they're also offering 20 fast bars. So it's like a protein bar that's included with that. I have an affiliate link here for 10% off. And I put in the show notes, Dominic Q, which is a 10% off link. So you'll be able to get about $18, $19 off of that 187. So it's down to $170. All right. The 7th and final product and supplement I want to recommend here for you is Ketone IQ. These are liquid ketones for energy, focus, and appetite suppression. So this is pretty cool. This is one of the newer products that I've gotten introduced to. And we're bringing on we've actually already interviewed him, the co-founder of Ketone IQ. His name is Michael Brandt. Really interesting guy. And Ketone IQ is one of the first widely available liquid ketones that you can drink, so that basically, instead of taking 5 days to get into a state of ketosis, like you can get as many ketones into your body in a 10-minute period of time, like drinking a cup of coffee, according to Michael Brandt. They sent us a free supply of liquid ketones for Brian and I, and we tested them out over the past few weeks before we had our interview. And what I personally found was a real even, sharp focus that was kind of similar to what I experienced during the Prolon fast, that level of focus and that energy and clarity. Brian had an even more interesting experience where he experienced that too, but he didn't even eat the entire day. He wasn't even hungry until about like 8 or 9 p.m. that night. So in the morning, Brian does his bulletproof coffee. So there is some protein in that coffee. And fats have calories in it as well. But then he had the liquid ketones. He drank it, and then he didn't eat anything for 12 hours. And he was just like, wow, that was fantastic. So both of us, after we finished our bottles, went out and bought more. So we got the free, and then we went out and purchased more because we really enjoyed its effects. Ketone IQ comes from a company called HVMN. I think it's Health Via Modern Nutrition. And they've got some really powerful investors and advisors. So they have Joe Montana is an investor and advisor. Marissa Mayer, the former CEO of Yahoo. Before he passed away, Tony Hsieh from Zappos. And they have a $6 million contract with the Department of Defense using liquid ketones. And I guess they've nicknamed it a Navy SEAL juice. So it's pretty cool. And Michael Brandt's coming on. The interview was fascinating. So we've already recorded that. I think we've got him in either 2 or 3 weeks. So you can do a deeper dive on that. These ketones, not cheap either. $120 for 30 servings. So it's basically $4 a serving. Now, that is by far the least expensive form of liquid ketones on the market, according to Michael Brandt. So getting these things to market typically have been about like $10, $12 a serving. They've finally been able to, get the science down. So it's $4 a serving. But if you're someone who's going out and buying your coffee, this is a great coffee alternative, he says, right? So a lot of people in Silicon Valley are sipping ketones instead of coffees to get off the caffeine, to have something much more even without the jitters. And he also said it's quite a powerful supplement, complement to coffee and caffeine as well. I can't exactly remember how he said it or why he described it that way, but Brian asked the question in the podcast, and he said, yeah, actually, they work well together if you choose to do it, or you can get rid of your coffee altogether and just use the ketones. It's $120 for 30 servings. They did give us a 10% off discount code, which is in the show notes. So that'll take about $12 off. So you'll be about $108 for the 30 servings. In summary, here's what we got again. The supplements for sleep, Kavaplex for deep sleep. I enhance the quality of my deep sleep by about 25 minutes by taking this each night. Wild Bloom, Blue Lotus for REM sleep, upgraded by about 25 minutes of REM sleep each night. Somnifix mouth strips to stop your mouth breathing and snoring and to start to condition you to breathing out of your nose. The supplement for focus is the Everyday Dose Mushroom Latte, which tastes more like coffee than any other coffee alternative I've had, and about a fifth to a sixth of the caffeine that is in most others, or a fifth to sixth of the caffeine that's in a regular cup of coffee. And then in the energy category, we have the LMNT hydration packets, which I love, citrus lime, which is the like the Gatorade flavor tasting version. We got the Prolon 5-day fast mimicking diet with a 10% off discount code in the show notes. And then finally, the Ketone IQ liquid ketones for energy and appetite suppression. And that is a 10% off coupon in the show notes. Enjoy. Hey, did you get something of value out of this podcast? If so, I'm going to ask you a favor. Would you be so amazing as to go over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and a review? Your ratings and reviews can show someone who's just discovered our podcast for the first time that we are worth listening to. And that way we can reach a wider audience. So please head over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and review. You rock.